So today I'm talking about body fat percentage. So when I started this journey and I got to know Stacy Sims and learned about how women's physiology is very different than men's, number one. And number two, women's physiology changes a lot after you turn 40. This was like a huge aha moment. For most of my adult life, I've been fairly active. I do yoga. I was a runner. I played ultimate frisbee. And I thought that I was doing all the right things. And in the past, probably 5 to 6 years, I've slowly started gaining weight. That will be another topic, but I'm generally not a person that likes to focus on weight for a variety of reasons. But I have noticed that my weight has crept up. I've probably gained about 10 pounds. My clothes fit a little tighter. And also, I have just all of these other symptoms. So clearly, it was time for a different scenario or a different plan. So my neighbor introduced me to Stacy Sims, and she said, I really want to start lifting weights. And I think that's a great idea. I haven't lifted weights since college. So rule number one is don't lift weights too quickly because you don't want to injure yourself. And clearly, that's the last thing that I want to do. So I really wanted to ease into weightlifting. So my neighbor across the street, her name is Lucy. She owns Alpha Training, personal training, and she's wonderful. So I went to go see her for the first time, and she decided to put me on one of those scales that reads body fat percentages, weight, and kind of some other benchmarks. Now, I know that these scales are not necessarily the most accurate, but for me in that moment, I think it really helped kind of kickstart me because, as I've said before, I've never really focused on my weight. I've never focused on body percentage. I focus on how I feel, what my body feels like, and what my clothes feel like. So I get on the scale, and my weight came in at 170, I think, and my body fat percentage was 38%. And I'm 5'7", just to give you context. So Lucy, my trainer, turns to me and she says, Sharon, 38% body fat is borderline obese. And that statement was just really crazy to me because I'd been active, I am fit. I don't feel like I'm borderline obese. I mean, I could probably say I'm a little bit overweight, but people could argue that maybe that wording was not maybe the best, but it definitely got me going. So that just started my journey into, okay, a healthy body fat percentage for women my age is around 30%. So that's about 8% body fat that I'm going to have to lose. So after I recovered from the shock of my body fat percentage, Lucy and I spent basically the rest of the time, 45 minutes of our session, just foam rolling. So she just taught me how to use a foam roller. And I think what is good here is, women, especially A-type personality women, we want to get to it and we want to jump on it right away. We don't want to take time off. We don't necessarily want to take things slow, but this journey, it's forcing me to take things a little bit slower and to realize that because my body is different, I can't just jump into a new workout routine. My body's just not ready for it. And I have to say, given my knee issues and all the PT I've done to try to get to just a baseline physical health level, I spend a lot of time doing physical therapy exercises and with that foam rolling. So I appreciated that Lucy had me just foam roll for the first session because I do think that these mobility exercises become more and more important as we age. So Lucy then focused on just foam rolling for that first session. And then I decided that I was going to cut out, for the most part, everything white. I like to say I didn't want to cut out all carbs, but white bread, white rice, pastas, anything baked. Because in my world, I don't really like to calorie restrict. And I know that the messaging has always been that we have to calories in, calories out, but I'm hoping to challenge that. So the other thing that Lucy kick started me into was just changing my diet. And my best advice is start slow. Just do one simple thing. If you love eating sugar, try to cut out sugar or some sugary things. For me, it was carbs. So for me, cutting out pasta and all of those things was the hardest thing. But when I did cut it out, I didn't calorie restrict. I also started supplementing with more proteins, more nuts, beans, things like that. And I will say that you're going to need time to implement this. So don't be hard on yourself. This is a journey. And I would say when you're starting to make a change, do one change at a time. Don't do too many things because you're going to overwhelm yourself. So I committed to doing 3 things. I started working with a personal trainer. I added creatine into my diet. I'm just doing a powdered creatine, 5 milligrams, and I just put it in my water. And then I'm also cutting out everything white. So those are my 3 goals to start.